The first step to show Unity ads is to make sure your platform is Android or iOS. So here's a mini challenge. Pause the video and figure out if your platform is iOS or Android. We have to go to File, Build Settings, or hit Ctrl-Shift-B to see the Build Settings window. From here, you want to make sure this Unity icon is next to either Android or iOS. If not, click the appropriate platform that you want to use and click Switch Platform. All right, the first step out of the way. The second step is to enable the Unity ads in your project. So for that, you want to make sure you're signed in to the Unity editor. So here's another mini challenge. Pause the video and figure out if you're signed in to the Unity editor. Hope that was easy. All you had to do was here, if you're using Unity 2020, the LTS version, the account will be on the right side. For 2021, it would be on the left side. Since I'm using 2020 LTS, it's on the right side. And in this drop down, you want to make sure you're signed in with your username. If not, you'll see something like sign in. So you want to sign in and then you can move forward. Now the third step is to enable your Unity ads in the project. So how you do that is you open project settings. So quick mini challenge again. I want you to pause the video and open your project settings window. Project settings is under Edit, Project Settings, like that. And it has a bunch of options. The one we're looking for is Ads. It's under Services. So when you select Ads, you should see something like this. For a brief moment, there should be a connecting to service or a button right here that would ask you to retry connection. But if you're connected successfully, you'll see something like this. So the next important thing is you should see this drop down with Select Organization. Okay, you want to click this drop down and select your organization, and then click Create Project ID. So before you can use Unity ads, you have to create a project ID. This project ID will be created to your Unity account and we'll shortly see where. For now, click Create Project ID and notice what happens. There we go. We are on the second step. It's asking you for some information which is very important. You want to make sure you pay attention to this, right? You want to make sure that you specify whether or not your app will be targeted to children under age 13. In the United States, we have this act, COPPA. This is very important. You can click this and you can read everything about it. So our app will not target children below 13. So let's say no. Okay. So when you click Save, you're certifying that your app is COPPA compliant. You want to read about this. Okay. Click Save. And now Unity Ads has been configured. All you got to do is you want to make sure this monetize your games, this button. You have to click this button and it would turn from off to on. It would start installing a couple of scripts and packages, and it's getting your project ready for Unity ads. So once Unity ads is enabled for your project, you should see this button here, on. Clicking this will turn off Unity ads. If you want more information, you can click this link, Getting Started. You can learn everything about Unity ads on the official Unity documentation. The next step is you want to make sure the ads package you have is the latest version. So here's a mini challenge for you. Try to figure out how can you install the latest version from someplace here on this page. Pause the video and give it a try. Well, here's the button, Install Latest Version. The current version is 3.75. Latest is 4.10. So you want to click Install Latest Version and click Yes. And it will install the latest version for Unity ads. All right. Once we have the latest version, you'll see a message like this. You're up to date. Okay. The next step is very important. Sometimes that causes issues, errors. So you want to make sure you are here, Packages Unity Registry. This is the package manager. you want to scroll up and down, and you want to make sure at least the Visual Studio Code Editor or Visual Studio Editor that you're using, the packages that you have are updated. The ones that need an update will have this white circle with this arrow pointing upwards. That means there's an update available for that. So I'll quickly scan through this list and update all of those which have this white circle with the arrow pointing upwards. And here's a quick tip. There are a couple of packages you may not be using. For example, you may not want to use the test framework. Feel free to delete it or remove it from your project, because these unneeded packages, they increase your project size. So it's always a good idea to keep your projects as light as possible. For now, I'm going to remove the test framework. And just to demonstrate that we could do that, I'm going to remove another one, the version control. And version control is very important. I hope you're using version control of some sort. I would highly recommend using Git, and I will create a video on this. I will show how to use Git for version control. This is very important. And the last one, 2D animation, because our project uses 2D. So you want to make sure, but we specifically don't use the 2D animation, bone-based animation, we use sprite-based. Okay, so now we made sure all of our projects are updated. So you can close the package manager. Another important thing that I forgot, and that is very important during development, you want to go back to your window, General, Services, and it's going to open your configured service. Click Ads, and you want to put a check for Enable Test Mode, like that. This is important because during development, you want to make sure you are serving or receiving test ads. Okay, so once you have a check here, you can close this window. Now we can get started by creating the ads controller. So right click in the hierarchy, create an empty object. Let's call it ads controller. And now click add component. You'll notice the ads controller, the script name is auto populated. So click new script and click create an ad. So that should create the ads controller script. Double click to open it in your favorite code editor. I like to start everything from start. So there we have it. We have an ads controller script that will initialize the Unity SDK for us. So we'll start by including the namespace, that is using Unity Engine.advertisements. This is the first step. This namespace will give you all the functionality to show Unity ads. So let's start by declaring a function void awake, and inside this function we'll call another function to initialize the ads. So there will be a red squiggly. This is simply because initialize ads does not exist, right? So no problem. In VS Code, you can highlight this red squiggly, hit Control dot, and then generate the method like that. And there we go. The red squiggly should vanish now. And well, instead of this thing right now, we could say debug.log, and we could say initializing like that. All right, let's test this part in Unity. Now here's the thing, we have the ads controller script. You want to make sure it's connected to the ads controller game object. Now let's head over to the play mode. Notice we have the text initializing printed to the console. Okay, this is good. Now to show your ads, you also need something called a game ID. So let's start by creating a string for Android game ID and for iOS game ID. We're going to make this a serialized field, which will be a type string, and let's call it Android game ID. So what is a serialized field? When you use public string and this thing, this will appear in the Unity editor, right? If I create a class new ads controller, then all the public fields of ads controller can be accessed from another class. But when you have serialized field, it's not available outside this class. It will only be visible in the Unity editor. That's it. So this is a good way to protect access to your fields that you don't want to access outside the class, but you want to show them in the Unity editor. So you want to create a serialized field of type string and call it iOS game ID. Pause the video and give it a try. All right, so you have to do serialized field string iOS game ID. And now we're going to create some logic that will assign either of these IDs, depending on the platform, to a variable called game ID, private string game ID. And inside of initialize ads, we'll write an if then else statement that will determine, or that will check the platform, whether it's Android or iOS, and then accordingly assign the appropriate ID to game ID. But if you're targeting more than one platform, well, this is a better way. So inside of the initialize ads, if application.platform is equal to runtime.platform.iPhone player. So this is for iOS. We're going to assign the game ID to iOS game ID. This logic will determine if game or app is running on the iPhone, then the game ID will be assigned the iOS game ID. And in just a short while, I'll show you where can you get the iOS game ID from. The clue is it's there somewhere in your services ads page, right? From where you turn the ads on and off. So let's say else if this platform is Android. If you're targeting another platform, you could just say Android like that. And now instead of iOS game ID, it's going to be Android game ID. So this block of code will take care of showing the correct ID for your correct platform. Now here's the important thing. Because we're doing development right now, we want to show test ads. So we need to declare another serialized field of type boolean or bool, call it test mode, and then initialize it to true. That means we want to show the test ads. This is important. Where do you use the test mode? I'll show you in just a sec. And now the advertisements namespace will be used here. So we're going to use a class from the advertisements namespace called advertisement. And we're going to use the initialize function in there, pass in the game ID depending on the platform, and then the test mode, which is initialized to true, and then the this keyword. So what is this? What is this referring to? So this will always refer to the class in which the code exists, right? But why is there a red squiggly here? What's wrong? If you do a control dot, well, it's not showing you any helpful thing. So here's the thing. With Unity ads, there's an interface that you have to add just after the amount of behaviors. So with the comma, type in Unity ads initialization listener. Now it's a big name, but all it does is it gives you two listeners that will tell you if the initialization for Unity ads is complete and if it's failed, right? So because of this red squiggly, you have the power to press control dot and then implement interfaces. So let's click this and magically we have two new functions on initialization complete. This means you want to check if the ads controller initialization is complete. And in here, we could say debug.log and on initialization complete or any message that you want to print. So we could start by writing debug.log, and here notice we have a dollar symbol, right? This will enable you to show something called a string interpolation. That means we have some strings from here, the message and the error. If you want to show it inside a string, you use a dollar symbol and then provide your string in Unity ads initialization failed, and then you specify these two curly braces. Whatever you write inside of this is called an interpolated string. That means it's a dynamic value that will be generated at runtime. You're getting it from here, error. So it's not predefined, it's a dynamic value. So the error that's generated, we are converting it to toString, and we're also passing in the message here, right? So the error and the message. All right, so if you don't have any more red squigglies and you've been typing the code the way I've shown you, ready to test it, Okay, now here's the thing. We just completed the ads controller script. If I go to play mode right now, can you guess what's going to happen? There will be an error. I'm going to show you now. Notice there's an error. So here's a mini challenge. Pause the video and figure out why did you get the error. It's got something to do with some empty fields. If you guessed it, the Android game ID and iOS game ID are blank right now, right? Now let's fill these IDs. Here's how you do it. Let's clear the console. From services, you want to click ads and make sure you have this on. When you click this, notice you have two game IDs here. That's it. I have hidden them because these are specific to my projects, but you can copy the Android like that. You can go back to inspector and you can paste it here. You can copy the one for iOS and paste it here, and you can close this now. You want to make sure test mode is on. You want to log on to the dashboard.unity3d.com as I've shown here and click sign in. Then enter your email and password that you use to log into your Unity asset store. All right, then you got to select your project from here, from this drop down. Mine is Unity Ads Demo. Once your project is selected here, you want to select monetization. You want to click complete activation. This is important. So here's the thing, this button will not be visible at this point. You have to select something else and then go back to I'm not using mediation. That will allow you to serve AdMob, Unity ads all at the same time, but we're just going to use Unity ads. Click OK. And this step will complete the activation of Unity ads for your project. Back in Unity, because we're executing this code inside the Unity editor, we just have to say else. Game ID is, in my case, I'm using Android. For you, you could use iOS game ID. For the editor, this else code will be executed and game ID will be assigned the Android game ID. Save the script. And now this time, once you know that your IDs have been assigned, your ads are on. Now if you go to play mode, notice no more any errors and your ads initialization has been complete. Now we can show the banner ads. To show banner ads, we're going to create another empty object or game object. Let's call it BannerCtrl, and then add a script called BannerCtrl like that. And then double click the script to open your code editor. And now to save time, I pasted this code. This code is available with this video. Back in Unity, we're going to drag the BannerCtrl and attach it. Now notice we have a couple of fields here. One of them is banner position. If you see that this is a drop down, and you can specify the position where you want to see the banner. So top center is what we want. And these are ad unit IDs. You want to leave them as they are. These are test IDs for now. And now we need 3 buttons. So let's go ahead and create quickly 3 buttons. We're going to use TextMeshPRO, so let's import TextMeshPRO. Now let's rename this to button load banner. Before doing this, let's rename this to UI. Let's change this from overlay to screen space camera. Let's specify the main camera from the scene. Constant pixel size, change it to scale with screen size. Then my reference resolution is 1280 720. So you would change it to your game's reference resolution and match width of height. Let this be 0.5 and the rest of it remains the same. Now you'll notice there's a button here, load banner, right? You want to duplicate it and let's rename it to button show banner. Now in BannerCtrl, let's drag the button load banner here, button show banner here, and button hide banner here. Now the banner controller has all of its fields configured. All we need to do is, in the scene view, you see these gizmos, right? They get a little confusing when you drag and drop them. You have these. So I like to turn them off. Go to gizmos, and for TextMeshPRO, turn off all of these blue symbols. So it will disable the gizmos, the blue gizmos for TextMeshPRO items. Now I want to drag and drop this button here, and I want to resize it to, let's say, the height 50. I want to bring this here like that, change the height to 50, and the same with the last button right here, and height 50. All right, so this is just for demonstration. The GUI and all is very simple. Now when I go to play mode, notice there is no error. The ads have been initialized. When I click load banner, notice it says banner has been loaded. And when I click show banner, so we have a banner right here. This would be our banner. And when I click hide banner, the banner is gone, right? It's hidden. I can click show again and it is shown, right? So here's a mini challenge for you. Pause the video and I want you to show the banner at the bottom of the screen. All right, the way to do that was you click banner controller. For banner position, you want to change it to bottom center. Go to play mode. And now you'll notice when you click load banner and show banner, the banner is shown here at the bottom, right? You want to hide it. And there you go. Now you can show banner ads.